Episode 38, The Theft. After getting away from the other students, Alex and Debbie walked toward Ramsey Lake. It was almost dark by now, and the ink-like dark clouds on the horizon set off the calm surface of the lake, making it seem tranquil and distant. Debbie held onto her bag as she walked, looking deep in thought. "What's wrong?" Alex asked, concerned. "I never realized that you're from such a rich family." Debbie didn't look at him as she replied. She looked at the lake with a small smile that was full of disappointment, bitterness. "Are you mad with me for lying to you before?" "Debbie, believe me, the reason I didn't tell you is that I was waiting for the right time. I never wanted to hide it from you," Alex hurriedly explained. His words moved Debbie a little. At the same time, she became even more confused. "I know, but..." Debbie hastened her steps and sat down on a rock by the water. She picked up a few stones and threw them aimlessly into the lake. "But what? Do you doubt my loyalty to you? I can prove it to you right now." Alex was very anxious. He couldn't figure out what Debbie was thinking. "That's not it either." She turned to Alex and stared into his eyes. "You're from such a rich family, and I'm just a girl from a poor town in the Northeast. I don't deserve you at all. When I think about how I went and bought rotten fruit for you to eat, I feel ridiculous." Debbie thought about what she had just said, and she felt that the last 10 days of her life had been like a dream that had now ended. She stood up and was about to leave, deciding that she would not have anything more to do with Alex. But Alex couldn't let Debbie go just like that. He tried to take her hand, but she walked too fast and pulled away. However, she also found it impossible to leave and quickly ran back toward him. He hugged her, and though she tried to snuggle free a few times, refused to let her go. "Let go. The difference between us is too great," Debbie said as Alex held her in his arms. At that moment, her heart was confused. If he had just been a normal student, she knew she would want to grow old with him. Alex didn't say anything. He just looked at her quietly and laughed softly. Only then did she glance at him. "What are you laughing at?" she asked. When she saw the smile on his handsome face, she felt confused and angry. "Even now we're talking about something so important and you're still not taking me seriously," she thought. Alex replied, "I was wondering what you were so worried about. You're worried that you're not worthy of me. How about this? Tomorrow, I'll go to my family and tell them that I won't inherit any of my family's wealth and that I won't need their financial assistance. Then you won't have to worry, will you?" "Are you crazy?" Debbie couldn't help but crying out when she heard his absurd idea. "I'm not crazy. I don't care about my family's wealth. You're all I care about," Alex said seriously. "Are you still going to leave me?" At that moment, Debbie was moved by Alex's words and her heart warmed. "When did I say I didn't want you anymore?" She lowered her head and whispered shyly. Her words made Alex's heart race. As he slowly moved his lips closer to hers to kiss her, Debbie realized that she was extremely nervous and wasn't sure what to do. Just when Alex was about to feel her breath, Debbie used her finger to cover his restless lips. "You have to promise me first that you won't give up your inheritance." She would never forgive herself if he made this ridiculous decision because of her. "All right, I promise." Alex was excited, and he continued to move his mouth toward Debbie's. Her lips were so thin, so soft, so sweet. Alex kissed her and felt like he was in heaven. The more he thought about it, the more he wanted time to stop, letting him forever be immersed in that moment of warmth. They kissed for a long time until Alex reluctantly let go, realizing that they had to return to school. As they started to walk away from the lake, Debbie noticed a reflection in the glass. She walked over to check. It turned out to be a phone. The SIM card had been removed, and the information had been deleted. I don't know if someone's accidentally lost this phone or if they threw it away, she said, holding it up in her hand. Someone didn't want it anymore. Can't you see that the SIM card's gone and the data on the phone's been deleted? Debbie, why don't you keep it? Alex had wanted to get her a new phone for a long time, but because of her pride, she'd been reluctant to accept. This phone looked better than Debbie's, so he thought she should keep it. I can't. What if someone's lost it? Debbie laughed as she looked at Alex and said, I'll keep it for now. I often come to Ramsey Lake, so I should be able to find the owner. If no one claims it, then it's mine. That sounds good, Alex replied, and they walked toward the cafeteria. Just then, everyone in Alex's class group received a text message. It was from one of their teachers, Mr. Berkeley. It read, Everyone goes immediately to room 1302 for a meeting. You're not allowed to take a leave of absence, or you'll be deducted grade points. Debbie received a similar message, telling her to go to a different room. It seemed that something had happened at the university. Alex and Debbie parted ways, and each headed to the room where their class was meeting. When Alex arrived at the classroom, the rest of the students were already there. He saw Ben and another friend, and went over to take a seat with them. Hey, Alex, look at Darren and Kathy. They're usually so cocky. I don't know what's wrong with them. They're like zombies today. They didn't even mock me when they saw me just now. I wonder if they forgot to take their medication, Ben said in amusement. Alex glanced at Darren and Kathy. When the two of them met his gaze, they looked away quickly. Alex smiled slightly. It seemed like he had given these two quite a shock earlier. Just then the teacher, Mr. Berkeley, walked in hurriedly. He looked very nervous, and the students tactfully stopped talking. However, they were very curious. What had made him so anxious? Students, something awful happened today. Mr. Berkeley cleared his throat and solemnly said, Your botany teacher, Mr. Morgan, who is also the school's financial administrator, had managed to increase the school's new internship fund to $350,000. He's just informed us that today, someone stole his bank card and account code and took all the money. When Mr. Morgan found out that the money had gone, he collapsed and was rushed to General Hospital, where he's still receiving treatment. If anyone knows anything about this matter, report it to me immediately, Mr. Berkeley said from the podium. Hearing these words, the students in the classroom exploded into chatter. They never thought that anyone could do anything so awful to Mr. Morgan. Hearing that he had lost $350,000, they were all worried about their teacher. They were all thinking, $350,000? If we can't find it, will Mr. Morgan be going to jail? Alex was also shocked. The first thing he thought of was how he could help Mr. Morgan. Mr. Berkeley, how about we raise the money through crowdfunding? Alex suggested anxiously. Crowdfunding? Trust you to think of that. If we started a crowdfunding platform, what are we going to say we're raising the money for? Mr. Berkeley replied. He had always disliked Alex. He continued, Should we write, because of personal error, we've lost $350,000. Now we're relying on the public for help. What do you think of that? Alex, Mr. Morgan had always been good to you. Why would you do that to him? Luckily, Mr. Morgan's not here. He'd be infuriated with you if he'd heard what you said. Other people joined in to criticize Alex. One said, Brainless idiot. Why do you think this person is so stupid? Another agreed. He wants to frame Mr. Morgan, right? He doesn't care about people at all. He's lucky that Mr. Morgan treats him so well. Alex wanted to help Mr. Morgan as quickly as possible. He thought that if they raised money online, he could donate $350,000 to him anonymously through the crowdfunder. But hearing Mr. Berkeley and the other classmates' words, Alex's mind cooled down a little. He realized that his idea probably wouldn't work. All right, everyone, remember this. If you have any leads, report to me immediately. The meeting's adjourned, Mr. Berkeley said, and then he left the classroom with a sour expression. Alex walked out of the classroom and found Debbie. The two of them walked along the path on the campus, discussing the situation. Last semester, it was Mr. Morgan who helped me with the poverty grant. He's looked out for me. Why did this have to happen to him? Debbie frowned slightly as she worried about Mr. Morgan. Mr. Morgan had helped Debbie a few times, and she cared about him. Looking at the pained expression on her face, Alex was even more determined to help him. "Alex, how about we go and see Mr. Morgan together? He must feel helpless in the hospital right now," Debbie suggested as she looked at him. "Debbie, you go first. I have some things to do. Say hi to Mr. Morgan for me and tell him not to worry. The situation will soon be resolved." Debbie was a bit disappointed that he didn't want to go with her to see Mr. Morgan, but she trusted him and believed that he must have something he needed to do. So she nodded and made her way to the hospital by herself. Alex, meanwhile, had decided what he was going to do to help. He had decided to leave his teacher a note saying, "Mr. Morgan, I'm sorry. I'm the thief who stole your money. Now that I've been found out, please send me your bank account number via Facebook, and I'll transfer the money to you." Then, when Mr. Morgan returned to his desk from the hospital and found the note, Alex would transfer $350,000 to his account and everything would be resolved. He had made up his mind. After class, he would head directly to Mr. Morgan's office. Meanwhile, Mr. Berkeley had been working in his office when someone knocked on his door and opened it without waiting for a reply. A girl walked in, swaying her hips and with a wry smile on her face. "Kathy, it's already so late. What do you want?" Mr. Berkeley asked. However, Mr. Berkeley was wrong in his assumption. He watched Kathy close the door. Then, she clearly couldn't hide her excitement as she said, "Teacher, I know who stole Mr. Morgan's money."